Hello, welcome back to another episode of Freshly Spoiled with Monique and Ryan.
Hi.
Hi, Monique.
Hi, Ryan.
Um, we went to go see The Brutalist.
Yes.
Uh, a lot
At
to
a
unpack here.
yeah, the theater was gorgeous though. That
I'm
made
gonna
it
start right there.
yeah.
Yeah. So, so this is recording this. What's today's date? January
Oh.
something. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
13th.
January 13th. Apparently, this movie is only showing in 70 millimeter,
Miller meters.
millimeters currently. So we trekked into Manhattan
Mhm.
to the Angelica Village at Angelica.
Yeah.
A couple different Angelicas. So I had never been to this particular theater, but doesn't really matter for the listeners. It's not you're not gonna get this experience, but
I know, but if you haven't seen it and you want to go see it, maybe go to that theater cuz it
if you
was
live in New
very
York,
cool.
it's
Yeah, if
just
you're in New
it's
York.
so it really is so interesting. So the history of
Right. And the history with the theater with the
the
movie
theater,
too. Yeah.
yeah, is what? Oh, sorry. It is. It was originally the Lewis and Jaffe Art Center, and it was a movie theater built by a Jewish designer. I guess maybe a Jewish builder, but it used to do. It used to be a Yiddish theater, and it was designed in the Moorish revival style. So very ornate,
Yeah.
um, just super detailed. And this is more like a theater, like you would see, like it's was almost like an off Broadway theater
Mhm.
that also played movies. It was a very old theater.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was, we saw this movie that was about the Holocaust, about a Holocaust survivor,
Mhm.
and it was, you know, um,
It just seemed
it was
appropriate.
and the design. It was like a very specific design, and it was kind of
Contrast to
contrasted to the brutalist style.
yeah.
Was like this Moorish revival style came before the brutalist
Mhm.
style, but it was like definitely interesting to see. Like you're looking at the contrast. You're looking. We're if we
Yeah.
zoom out from the frame of the movie, we're seeing uh, the old style, very detailed, very gaudy. One can almost even say, but there's a big chandelier. There's big arches with big
Mhm.
cutouts. Um, and then we're watching this movie.
A lot
Zoom
of
in,
color.
tons of color.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the ceiling, just like
Ornate, like
yeah, like
texture and
somebody.
detail.
Yeah,
And
like
the Brutalist is just very cold, minimal,
yeah,
functional,
yeah.
like
So I'm like literally
streamlined.
feels like the absolute perfect theater to see this movie in
Mhm.
because you're just getting, you're
Yeah.
like you're immersing yourself
Yeah.
in the era that there he's coming into and breaking out of.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I it's just and then we on the way out there was a table for posters. I don't know if you can even call this a poster. Like what? Who designs this? And is this? It's because I guess it's because Brutalist is like this is supposed to
Yeah.
mimic the idea
Right.
that like
The idea
even the
of that.
poster is just. I mean, brutalism isn't just minimal, but it is. I mean, it is. So that's it's got some images here. It's got the name. It's got presented in 70 millimeter, the stars, and then it's filmed in VistaVision and it says Village East by Angelica. So it's I don't really have an interest in this. If somebody watching this has an interest, I will sell you this poster because it's not nothing I'm going to use. But I just thought it was really cool that we got that and yeah this theater just I didn't really put that together until I halfway through, and then when we left, I looked up kind of
After.
more
Yeah.
about the history of it, and so there was a Jewish theater. I'm like, this couldn't be
Mhm.
more appropriate. So
Yeah.
okay, so I mean that aside, that's our experience with the movie.
Mhm.
Um, you hear 3 hours and 40 minutes, and that's a big talking point, and I never like to. I don't like to bring up time of movies because if a movie's good and if you're losing yourself in it, it shouldn't really matter. If you've given me a reason to sit there that long, then that's okay. But it's definitely like, okay, you have to set aside some time.
Hmm.
The movie started at 8,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, so this is
Already, it was kind of
we're gonna
like.
be we're gonna be out late, for us. But I didn't. I truly didn't feel like I was like I was. It was dragging along. It people said from reviews it doesn't feel like it's that long, and I don't think it did.
Yeah, I was very surprised because a long movie for me is kind of a big deal because it's like
Yeah,
takes a lot for me to like stay focused and awake. But I thought they did a really great job. Like right from the bat, it was like it wasn't even like you had to watch the movie to see what was going on. It was like you're reading text. There's a lot of music. There's a lot going on, like visually, but you're not necessarily needing to watch it
yeah,
because you're just reading. You're reading the text is what's important,
yeah.
and there's so much going on. And it was funny because we were like, oh, we kind of got there like at right as the movie started, literally, and those first 5 minutes of the movie really mattered.
They matter. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes is they do a little some just kind of
yeah.
establishing
Hmm.
stuff in the beginning
But it
that's not
was yeah.
really maybe some character building early on, but it really. I think we would have pieced it together. I don't think we would have been completely
No,
lost
but
if we lost the first five
I
minutes. But
enjoyed it.
it gave you some emotion
Hmm.
to the character, like it kind of let you know where he came from.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we were running late. We were approaching the movie theater about 8:03, and I'm like, I hope there's some coming attractions enough to stall us. And
Hmm.
yeah, we sat down and
And it
movie
started.
and it
Yeah.
started. So we lucked out. I was
Hmm.
still like I was sweating and in my jacket, but I refused to move because I was like too busy reading. So I'm like, all right, when it calms down a second, then I'll start taking my jacket off and cool off. So I did. And you were like settling with your popcorn, and I was like, yeah. I'm like, I'm holding your popcorn, and I'm just like watching it. I'm like, all right, I feel like we can start to settle in a little bit here. Um, this is a tough movie to review, in my opinion, especially on one viewing. I think I we did talk about it a little bit last night afterwards on our wild train ride home. Um, I overall think I liked it. I think I think it was a little self indulgent at times. I thought, and not shot beautifully. I didn't think. Um, a little like the shakiness. There was like a lot of shaky stuff, and um, like there wasn't a huge. To me, there wasn't a overall attention to cinematography in this movie, in my opinion, for what I like in this movie.
Okay.
And I, if you're talking about a movie that's about design, okay, so now we're dealing with visuals. Like the whole premise of this movie is dealing with a visual art. So now, if you're making a movie about visual art,
Mm.
be it architect, is still that's I feel like that needs to be a really big focus on the movie, and I'm sure the director thought he probably was paying attention to the visual aspects of
I
it.
thought it worked because it to me it felt cold. It felt empty,
Yeah,
and they focused a lot on when they were in Rome, I guess, like the mountains and the I don't even know what it was, but it was like white and black, like on the face of the
yeah,
rock, and they just focused on that a lot, and I thought that was appropriate for his kind of take on what
yeah,
his design was.
yeah. I think some people might have liked it.
Yeah, I
I'm like
did.
it's from my it's. I'm not saying that they didn't. They were just like throwing a camera around shooting
Yeah.
it,
Hmm.
but I feel like it just didn't register to me as a movie. There was a couple of shots I thought were beautiful.
Hmm.
There was actually one shot where they had just laid the pillars for the community center,
Hmm.
and there was just they shot it at an angle where the pillars were all lined up at an angle, and there was a slight gap in between them, and there was a bunch of workers walking through the hill, and then as they approached the pillars, they all kind of disappeared behind the pillars, but at different
Oh.
times because they all passed through different pillars.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
they all kind of just started disappearing behind the pillars, and then like at random spots, so you can kind of like see where their depth was based on which pillar they were falling behind. Um, yeah, that was a cool. That was a cool shot, and uh, this I don't want this conversation to be about brutalism, but I do think it's important to say like I don't love that style.
Mhm.
I don't think that matters when you're watching a movie. I love the movie Basquiat. I don't like Basquiat's art. Like you can show me a movie about an artist that I don't like, and it can still be
Yeah,
a
sure.
good. It can still be a good movie.
Yeah.
I just uh, I don't know if this makes it a better film. I feel like this is more of a corny approach to it. I did want to see more of a struggle for him early on. Like
Cut like from where he came
yeah, I
from.
wanted to see some more resistance to his style because it was so vastly different. But it was like people were just sold on it. Like when first time he designed that chair and it's in the window, it was like I'm like, oh, he's gonna hear
They
about like
focused on that like they touched on that briefly. Like the wife was like, "Oh, it looks like a tricycle." And he's like,
yeah, like
"What's
she didn't
that?" And
love
she's
it.
like, "It's a kid's bicycle."
Yeah,
And then, you know,
right. But then there was there wasn't any real pushback about that. And then the next thing we saw him design was the library, and it was I guess he didn't
well,
love it at first. He's like, you
no,
butchered
he
it.
hated it,
You got it.
but
Yeah,
the
right.
reviews from I don't know who in the newspaper,
Right.
the
Yeah.
reviews
Whatever. Yeah.
were, raving over it. So,
Right. But which makes you think. So that goes to show you about like how rich people have no actual taste.
yeah,
They have
they
no
just like
taste in
follow
themselves.
what's
He
being
did. He did research on him. Found out he was a well, renowned design
modern designer.
architect or designer in Europe, and thought, oh, he did a piece of work for me.
Yeah.
Like, let me contact the paper about this. I surprised I have this piece of art now in my home. He hated it, but now that he can use it to somehow garnish. He's not
Garner.
garnishing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say something you're like, I might be too stupid to have this conversation. To garner to garner some credibility in the community.
Yeah.
So he's like, um, yeah, that was telling of his character, and that's just so anything they think will make them look good.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what his style was getting people to think that this is good and you don't know why yet, but like you're forced to think it's good because we said it's good.
Yeah.
That's like modern art. It's modern art. It's if you don't get it, you're stupid.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But the designs of the buildings that he showed in the pictures and in that actual building, that was a hideous building in my mind. And when he told that guy, he's like, everything that's ugly in the world is your fault.
Yeah.
I was like, while I don't like the designs, I'm sure, yes, these guys has made ugly things, but I feel like you're responsible for ugly stuff more, especially now. And I don't even like minimal. I don't mind minimalist design. Some of it I like. I like some things that the brutalism era has ushered in. Some more minimalist things. I like. I don't mind cold
When
in
we
certain
looked
areas.
at it, it looked like they incorporated more metal too and steel. And
Yeah.
the movie focused a lot on just concrete.
Yeah. Right.
But either way, it's
Yeah.
flat and cold
Right.
looking.
But I guess I don't know. I got off track, but all this to say, like, I would have liked to have seen some pushback because it was definitely very different than what they were, and we didn't
Yeah.
see any of that. And maybe that's not the story of that. I mean, well, we don't. It's not really a true story, so it's kind of.
I know, it's so funny. I don't know why I thought it was based on a true story going into it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards we were trying to find evidence of that and we
Yeah.
couldn't. So, okay, so it's a made up story, but it's based in fact because that's an actual art movement.
Yeah. So the story is more about because maybe
About a struggle for
maybe
this
in
Hungarian.
Europe he had pushback and he fought through and then he found an audience in Europe after, so we didn't see that story.
Yeah.
We got kind of the second part of his life, which is a total valid approach to storytelling. We don't always need to see the,
Yeah, you
you
know
know,
what?
what they
It's
call that in superhero movies,
the
the
origin story.
origin story.
But it's funny because it was a 3 hour, 40-minute movie, an intermission. You'd feel like that's enough time to give a lot of background, a lot of
Yeah,
detail, a lot of information about his past, present, future. Um, and I feel like they glazed over a lot.
yeah,
Like a lot of the aspects of his life and the details of that were just like bits and pieces. And um, yeah, which is weird.
um, yeah. But again, I think I liked it. It's the acting. It's the fact that we're almost 20 minutes in now. Like, well, probably less, but um, yeah. His acting was great. I haven't seen better acting
Yeah,
this year,
he was
so
amazing.
I haven't seen all the movies yet, but I mean, yeah, just you totally bought into it. He was angry well. He was sad well. He was,
Yeah,
cocky well at
yeah,
times. Great. Yeah.
yeah. They
How
showed,
about, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, like when his wife came, his kind of almost like coldness to her. Like
Yeah.
like the whole time he was like, you thought like when she got there he'd just be like so happy,
Yeah.
and he seemed concerned like when she couldn't walk, but then the warmth wasn't there. It was
Right.
just
But you wonder, was it disappointment that, you move a little closer? Is it disappointment that, oh, now I got to deal with this woman who's in a wheelchair? Like, or is it, why would you not tell me you're in a wheelchair? Like, I love you. Why would
well,
you not tell me in a wheelchair?
that's what it that I feel like that's how it came across in the beginning, like when she first came off the train. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
Yeah.
But then it seemed more like, "Oh, now I got to take care of you."
Yeah.
Like that's how it ended up. And like even to the and I know this was out of care and concern for her, and obviously he was using drugs at this time, so like he wasn't thinking clearly. He's just like, "Oh, this is great. This will take the pain right away." But like he shot her up.
Yeah.
And that just also kind of seemed to me like, here's a quick fix to, you know, make you
Right. But
stop.
um, that's that's a definite moral conundrum, and I feel like that's would be a big debate about this movie. Did he do the right thing? Because making the decision to give somebody else heroin is a bold decision. That's not something to be taken lightly. But the pain, the agony that she was in, he she
Yes,
felt
but
she finally felt she probably felt better than she's ever felt.
yeah, of course.
And right,
And that's the whole idea is that, yeah, of course you're going to think it's a good idea to shoot somebody up with heroin to take pain away.
yeah,
Like if that's where your head's at.
yeah,
Like I know you're in pain, but like I don't know. I besides that, I just think that to me when I saw that, it was like, oh, okay, like that's his little like passivity
oh yeah. I didn't
for
take it like
her.
that. I thought that was like a caring, like a. I didn't think it was a selfish move. I thought it was a caring move.
Like I said, I didn't think that it there was no love there and that he
Right.
didn't care about her, but yeah, like we just looked at it differently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, I did think too, like, she's, can you get addicted to something you didn't even know that you took? Like, you might want to feel that way again, but
Yeah.
you don't know what it is. You don't know where to get it. You don't like, you're like, oh, that was great. Thank you so much for helping me. Like, yeah, it was it was a shot the doctor told me to give, in case of emergency, give it to you. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, how do I get it again? You know what I mean? Like, people get addicted to heroin, like they want to go get, like they were in a place where got heroin. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's around.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh yeah, let's keep doing heroin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was interesting. His I guess downfall with everybody. I think they showed that being the connecting factor too. Like
Yeah,
getting in trouble, like being late for work, and
yeah,
then getting angry, getting raped. That
yeah.
scene, I don't know. That I was like I could do without that scene. I thought that was kind of just random. Um
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know that it was random. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why we needed that to make him even like the Guy Pierce. That's
Mhm.
who that was, right? Guy
Mhm.
Pierce.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. He
he's already the bad guy. Um, that seemed like it did seem unnecessary, and like he's drunk. He's on heroin. Like, does he hates him because he's jealous of his talent, that he has an actual talent, and that he's wasting it.
Mhm.
But then you like that's how you handle it. Um, and then when the wife goes in and
Mhm.
you know drops a dime on the fact you're going in knowing that they're not going to believe you. Uh, what are you going to get from this? I don't know.
Yeah. I guess just still to stand up for him and
Yeah,
to like say it in front of everybody because regardless or not if they believed it, it's still like now it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's a scandal. Like
yeah,
something happened and we don't want to be mixed up in any messy business.
yeah. Right.
So we're going to
And then
step
the
out.
son when the son afterwards son was like running around looking for his father and like he got kind of like he kind of fell down at some point. Did you get the feeling that they're trying to say that he had raped the son as well? At some like the son knew it was true because he had he maybe the father
That's interesting. I
raped the
didn't
son.
think about
Like
that. No.
his yeah, like they didn't make it the whole ending. They didn't make super clear.
Mhm.
There was a lot of vague stuff happening there. Um, but definitely at some point, from whatever the son, his physicalities were, I did think, oh, I think maybe he knows it's true because he's a victim as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw the connection between the son and the father, like their kind of personality traits that weren't so good,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And then
he was hateable.
the son's interaction with the architect's niece
Yeah,
by the
yeah, which
riverbank.
don't know
We don't know either,
what happened
but
there.
she came and she was like, you know, kind of pushing down her shirt or
Yeah,
tying her skirt, something along the
yeah,
lines, which
definitely
made me
made you
think
think.
something happened,
Right,
but never was clear.
right. Which is I don't mind not knowing the answers to things in
Yeah,
movies because
sometimes
if we're
that's
going
not really that
yeah
important, but
because it also is like sometimes in life we don't know the
hmm
answers.
right.
Suspect things happen and we don't know. And even when people say things, we either can trust them or not. But unless we're there, we never really know the answer.
Hmm.
Um, the the light, the sun shining the the cross down on the thing.
Yeah.
I had that confused. Like I thought that like there was a cross shaped gap in the building when you looked at it from one way. There was a cross in it. I thought that was going to shine like when he said at noon when it's shining straight down. He
Hmm.
goes, there'll be a cross on the
Yeah.
ground."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I thought that the shape of the opening when the sun is here, it would shine down like a long cross, like the actual shape of the building will cast a shadow
Yeah.
or a light in the building." And then it turned out to be just there was a hole cut in the top that when the sun is right above it, it'll shine right down.
Hmm.
Um, but the sun doesn't pass the same spot every day. It's not like the sun's going to hit that spot at noon every day.
Right. Right.
So it's
I
it's gonna be it's I don't know how that's I would. Does that building? Oh, we should look to see if that does that building actually exist.
we didn't look that up. I don't
Yeah.
know.
What was the name of the town? No, I'm not gonna look that up now. But that's an interesting idea. Is that I don't.
Yeah,
We
that's a
don't
good
know.
question because it's like like seasonally, I guess like okay, the sun will rise
Mm-hmm.
or be in a certain point of the sky at a certain time, but like all the time at noon?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. I mean, yeah, I
Right.
don't think.
Yeah. I was disappointed at the end of the movie when they showed the sun shining down on it, and it was like just like oh yeah, well, anybody could do that. Could think of that. That's not. um, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna watch this movie again and love it. If I'm being honest with you.
You would watch it again? You want to?
Yeah, I would watch it again. I'm not saying I'm anxious to, but like I told you, it reminded me a lot of There Will Be Blood
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of Phantom Threads. Like this director is, in my mind, definitely inspired by
Both movies
Paul
I
Thomas
liked
Anderson.
more than this.
Definitely. I mean, I like them more on first viewing. I like them immediately.
Oh my god, yeah.
So it's I don't want to say it was derivative of those because you're telling a story, but it's like
Yeah, I thought this movie was very like, I mean, besides the things that we were talking about that we're like, we're not sure about. For the most part, it was very straightforward and like, this is this, now
Yeah.
this, and even with the chapters, like the chapter 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
it was kind of like spelled out for you what, what's going on, what time period it is, which was nice, and I think that helped kind of like move it along and keep you going.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah, and like I said, I like how the music was in like instrumental in going with the story
Yeah.
of the movie. I loved that. I liked the subtitles. I liked reading it.
Yeah, I do. I had trouble hearing some of the just dialogue at some point. Not hearing it, but understanding it with the accents.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that more of it was in subtitled so I could follow along just with the. And I don't know. I don't have an ear for bad accents. I assume
Yeah,
since
I
people were
know.
saying it was a good acting
I
job.
know.
Like I thought it was great, and I didn't pick up on it. But sometimes you hear people say like, "Did you hear the accent?" He was like, "It was terrible." I was like, "Oh, I don't really. I don't. Maybe I don't have a good ear for that." But people say this is a great acting job. Like people who know more than I do said it was. I'm like, well, I guess he did a good job with the accent. But I had a hard time. Sometimes I was like, I don't know what they said. I hope it doesn't matter that much because I can't go back. I don't have a rewind button here.
Yeah. And I also liked it watching it with a bunch of people. I thought that was neat. Like,
Bunch of people that are all committing
yeah,
4 hours
right.
to
Same
sit
time of
down.
night.
Yeah,
like,
8 o'clock. We're all having this cool, like in this theater, this cool
Yeah, it was
experience.
like a really cool experience. And
It's
I think that helped me like the movie more.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a lot of smarty pants laughs in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
People that like to be like, I get that. That happened a lot.
Yeah. People
I meant to
behind us.
mention in the last movie we saw, All We Imagine as Light. The guy sitting next to me, I've never seen anybody who wanted to laugh at a movie more than this guy. He was laughing at stuff that I was like, that's not a joke. That's not funny. But I do think that he spoke the native language of that movie, so maybe he picked up like it's funnier if you can actually hear it rather than read it. So, what was I saying that for? Oh yeah, a lot of people wanting to prove they're smart by laughing. And there were definitely some funny parts in it, and Guy Pearce had some funny parts in it. But there were people laughing at things. I was like, all right, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Everybody loved when he was shaving and he was going, Peter Piper picked a peck of
Yeah.
pickled peppers, and he was
And then
trying
the,
to practice his English.
And the I find our conversations to be
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that was like a callback,
Yeah.
right? To like the
yeah.
first time.
But people laughed at it the first time he said it. They said the first time, and he goes, I know I said it before, but I find our conversations to be
Stimulating.
intellectually stimulating. Yeah. Did he do a good acting job? Did you like
Adrian
that
Brody?
character? No, Guy Pearce.
Oh, I did. I liked seeing him.
A lot of big choices. Like
I
the
liked seeing
character
him
was.
as that role, that man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoyed his character, but it was like, is this a realistic person, or these?
I mean, I feel like he was exaggerated.
Yeah.
Like his
Right.
I'm gonna call them mood swings. Were
Yeah.
like.
But just his cadence and his style. I'm like, man, people in that position probably did act a certain way, but maybe a little exaggerated. His son was a terrible person from the beginning. Even when he was just hiring them to redecorate the library, I'm like, I don't like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess, a good acting job, but I also do feel like he was overacting. Like that guy, I'm like, this as soon as I saw him, I'm like, this guy's doing too much. This is not. but he was doing enough to make you hate him right from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's a good acting
Awful.
job. Yeah.
The sister softened because she was kind of like along the same
Yeah.
lines with him
Yeah.
in the beginning, and then she softened and kind of was nice to the wife
Yeah.
when
yeah.
he
Yeah,
when he
just dragging
kicked
her out
the walker out from
Yeah.
underneath her
Yeah.
and then dragged her out of the room.
Yeah.
That I was like, holy
That was
shit.
rough.
Yeah.
We said we wanted to rename this podcast just
For the everyday moviegoer.
everyday moviegoer.
Layman's
This
terms.
is not we're no movie experts. We
The
enjoy
cinephiles
movies
here.
and
Yeah,
I think
like we love movies, but
Yeah.
I don't know really.
yeah, I
what
feel
I'm
like
talking about.
our conversations are some like this conversation to me is like trying to figure out do I in talking about this, do I like this movie? Like
Yeah.
this is not a movie I think you can leave thinking you loved it and you can leave thinking you hate it, but you can definitely like I got to think about this one for a while. I got to have a conversation about it. I got to see what makes sense. I got to see do I like the ending? You know, like and so this conversation is was that a good movie? And I think I think I might take another view to find out if I liked it or not. I'm not going to watch it before the Oscars, but maybe somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if there's any more to say about the Brutalist, but
Yeah. I liked the advertising for it showed this picture, and I just thought that scene was very cool, and I'm in love with that picture too.
Yeah, it was cool. Interesting to see like how quickly he was hands off. Like I guess designers are not hands on. That's not necessarily what they want to do, but I think when they're starting, they're hands on.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Oh, we're gonna hire you. You're in Pennsylvania, and you're designing furniture, and you don't even need like we'll just design it. And we'll have somebody make it." And it was just him watching over people designing his design. But I hated that the chair that he made that there was in the window.
Oh.
I hated the chase lounge that he made for the library. I'm like, that's not comfortable.
No, it doesn't look inviting. It's
No,
I
like the space. I didn't mind the space. I like the big shades for the books. I liked
You called that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a brilliant idea, and it's such a dumb idea to eliminate the light from your room so that you protect your
Yes
books.
and no, because like I thought it was genius. I was like, yes, that's being forward thinking. That's like solving a problem, right? Not covering up something. But at the same time, I'm like, but you want for me, I like cozy. I like dark. I like a lot of texture and cloth.
Yeah.
And I would want the option to have the windows open, but like I like the heavy, thick drapery. And I liked also being able to see the books. Like I feel like that's a part of a library is seeing the books.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
now
you can.
you can, but you
And when it's dark out, you can open those things up and you can have the books, and it's a dark room, at night.
Yeah.
So you have that option. I agree with you. I think a library should be dark, and I think that I prefer a cozy dark room and leathers, fake leathers, and lamps and lights to light it, and then yes, the visual part is the books. So give me a wall of books, a whole room wrapped in books. But the problem with this room is you're dealing with you're usually in a room that doesn't have a lot of windows. Maybe you got maybe got a big long window over here and a big long window over there, and yeah, you can put a nice covering
They could
over
have
that.
made like stained glass,
Yeah,
instead of like clear
that would have
window,
been good. But
just
if you're dealing with a room that has had these beautiful floor to ceiling, just tall windows, that's not a room you want to. You don't want to cover windows if you have them. So I feel like, in my mind, that's just not the library. That's like a sitting room.
sunroom,
That's
yeah.
a sitting room with the way you like bask in the sun.
Right.
And then somewhere else in the house, you have a dark room that's a library.
yeah.
You
And
don't
with
have
all
your
that
library.
money,
You don't
sure,
have-
you could make another room that's
Yeah, exactly.
suitable for.
It's like you walk in and play.
books.
Oh, this isn't a library. This is you got too much sun in here to be a library. You want it to be dark.
Yeah.
The sex scenes, all the sex scenes, were really brutal. Like not brutal. Some like it opened like the first one was him with the get the
The
prostitute, right, when he
prostitute.
got to New York,
Honestly,
and that's like
I thought that was like he almost had more of a softness and a connection with that person, right?
then his
Like
wife.
than his
Yeah.
wife.
Uh huh.
And the wife, yeah, when she was on the bed with him, and I mean, I guess I don't know, maybe you could have told, was she masturbating
Yeah,
or
yeah.
was she jerking him off? Like I couldn't tell.
I
Um
thought that she was touching.
Masturbating?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no, no. I thought she was touching him. I thought that
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure
because
because
he was like
obviously
crying. He was like
he was crying,
crying.
but I didn't know, like, because she's like, I've been thinking about you the whole time that you weren't with me.
No,
So
because I
so
think the
she was
body
touching
language,
him.
she's turned into him and she's leaning towards him.
Yeah.
If she was masturbating, I think to show that it's her and her back looking at him.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have just been like her like up
Yeah, no,
against him,
I
like,
just think to me it read very clearly. I didn't even consider
Oh, okay.
that she was masturbating. She was
How many times can we say masturbating?
um yeah, that sex scene, and then when after he shot her up, they had that sex scene was like
Yeah, and that I was like, okay, that's great. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like once again, it wasn't like they weren't trying to make a message with it, but I'm like, you do heroin enough, you're not going to be able to have sex. You're just not going to be able to either get it up or fucking climax. Like that's it.
yeah,
You're done. So don't romanticize that part of it,
yeah.
I don't know. I just like, yeah, I don't know. Just
And then I was wondered why he finally felt like you got the impression they didn't have sex, like he wasn't going to have sex with her. There was gonna be no sexual connection with them at all. And then that was the time that
mhm,
she that he felt it,
mhm.
and it's because she was like they painted her as a very stiff person in the beginning. Like she was almost like not a troublemaker, but she wasn't a bubbly person.
Mhm.
She was like, I'm a well educated person, I'm a writer, don't fuck around with me. Um, and then if she got up, she goes, oh, it feels like she loosened up, and maybe because she's in a different state, all of a sudden he's like feels
Yeah,
I love
he
this
could
person.
connect with this
Like this
person.
person I can let loose with.
Yeah.
Like they're not. It's almost not the same person that
Mhm.
I have this kind of resentment towards. There's a lot to talk to. We're not going to cover every scene in it. It's the general feel of the movie. If you watched it and you liked it, let us know why you liked it, because I would like to watch this movie. I would like to like I would like to like this movie. It feels like a movie that fits in my catalog of movies that I like. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a cool movie. I want to like a new director. It's always exciting when you get a director who's making new movies, and I was trying to look up more this director did, but there's an actor by the same name or the same
So
guy,
confusing. Yeah.
like turned from a actor in shitty things, and now he started making movies, and this is the first movie that he made. Seems like a long stretch. So I couldn't
Wasn't
figure out
clear.
that I don't know anything about this director, and maybe he's got a history. I don't know. I couldn't find it on IMDb. Um, but definitely a movie worth a conversation, worth talking about, worth an Oscar. Like, I'm not saying this movie. Absolutely, if I can understand why this movie is getting talked about for a favorite for the
Oh
Oscar.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
felt like really dense.
Gripping, I
Yeah,
feel like parts.
emotional. There's
Just
emotional
yeah.
parts to it. There's
Yeah.
but so what about the ending? What happened at the end?
Um with
The father, like, where did he go to? Where did he go off to?
the architect?
Yeah, the father.
Oh,
If the
oh,
father
when they
ran
were
off
looking
and they were
for
looking through the thing, and they panned out, and then it was like the star was shining on the thing. And did I miss like, am I missing, like, is that why I don't know? Am I missing a whole huge part of this movie?
yeah, I don't know either.
Like, they kind of left that vague.
Yeah.
Like,
I was expecting when they went back into the building that he made, I was expecting him to be dead, like him
Like he
have
killed
killed
himself in
himself
there. That's what
because
I
he
was told.
just
That's
felt,
where I thought it was going.
yeah, like that's where I took it to. I was like, he just had all this guilt and this shame, and he just couldn't take it anymore, and he was just like, I'm done. I'm gonna kill
Yeah,
myself in this building that I wanted
yeah,
to honor my mother with.
and I
Like,
wondered if yeah, that's a good point too. And I wonder if that cross because they're searching at night,
yeah,
and then they're in the building at night, and then all of a sudden
and then
there's
it's
light in the building. So now we're at noon
at noon,
theoretically,
yeah.
and we cut from night to noon immediately just by panning up, and it's just there's a cross on the thing. So is that being like that's a like that's a cross like he died?
I think so.
Um, I don't know, and I'm not one of these people who needs the ending spoon fed to me. That's I would like to maybe have known more, but um, and then when they cut to the '80s, it was interesting to see. I thought like they showed his wife going and fighting for him and being like, your father's a rapist, and I kind of thought, oh, that's the last we're gonna see of him. I mean, it was in that era, but then they cut to him as an old man
In
and
the wheelchair.
in the wheelchair. I was like,
But
all right.
she wasn't there.
Well,
She was dead.
yeah, and we knew like you don't live that you're not sick like her and
Right.
live to the same age that he lives in.
Right.
Like that was never gonna happen.
Right.
And then his niece, I guess, and her daughter
Yeah.
were there, and that was and then then he showed his current works, and then at the same time I thought it was a true story, so I'm like, oh, this is the work that he's done.
I know.
And maybe like we still don't know. Like maybe maybe it is a true
We need
story. I don't know.
to
But I looked up the guy's
do
name
some
and it
research
was
again and then rewatch the movie.
yeah.
Like, at
We
some point.
revisit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Be on the lookout for Brutalist Part 2.
yeah. The Brutalist, the chat part 2, not the this. Imagine there was a sequel to this movie. That would be hilarious. They making sequels to these types of movies. Okay. Well, thank you for watching all of this. Definitely should have been a shorter talk for two people who not sure if they like the movie or even what it meant. Yeah, but I liked it. Go see The Brutalist. It's a good movie. Definitely is a good movie if you like dense, artistic approach to movies, and it's a good conversation afterwards. You'll have a good conversation about it after, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.